everybody, hello and welcome. Today we are going to be looking at how I make my little folios, these folios, with the flip flaps on the front and the waterfalls on the inside, and it just folds out like that. And then it's up to you, you know, where you put pockets, tummy tucks, belly bands, side pockets, whatever you want to add to it. I'll just show you today how to do the basics so you can go off and do your own. Okay, so what you need is a piece of A3 card. This card is, let me just check with Mr. F, what is it, 240 is it? 220 GSM, or whatever the Google, I'm sure, will tell you what the equivalent of that is. And I have cut it so I've got 8.5 inches in height all the way along, 8.5 inches, which leaves me with this remnant piece which measures just short of 3.5, and that's going to turn into our front flaps, so don't throw that away. The other thing that you need is 2 more strips, full width but 3.5 inches wide, and they will be our waterfall. I know this isn't a full strip, but it should be. It's just I've been nibbling away at pieces. So yeah, you need 1 full sheet, cut at 8.5, save your remnants, that's for the front flaps, and then 2 more strips, full width at 3.5. Okay, so that's the cutting, as it were. Right, then with this one, which is going to be our base, it's so simple. It's really so simple. We're going to score, and we are going to score at 4 inches, 4.5 inches, 8.5 inches, 9 inches, and then 4 inches beyond this last score line. Now it doesn't fit on my scoreboard, so I'm just going to bring that up, that last score line, so it's level with the 3, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and score there. And then I'll go through that with you again. So I've scored at 4, 4.5, 8.5, 9, and 4 more inches after that. So it would be 13 inches if you could actually get there. Now I appreciate that it's really difficult to see, so what I intend to do is ink that so you can see where things are. So let's ink the whole thing. It's slightly tedious, but it's kind of one of those things, isn't it, that you've got to do. I'm using Distress Oxide and ground espresso. It's quite a dark colour, but you know, you don't need to use anything that dark unless you want to, and you could use a pretty colour as well. So many gorgeous colours in the ink, Distress ink line now, isn't there? Spoilt for choice. I must say I still come back to the browns, to be honest. I just like the fact that it sort of ages the paper. Oh, my sponge is falling apart. It's done good service. So I did think that I had done this in a video before, but Mr. F and myself looked last night and I had done it, I had explained it to you, but it was during a live, and they tend to be long, which would have meant you sitting through all the chit chat and jibber jabber till you actually got to the bit that was of any interest. Now I say this to you every time, but it's quite important because sometimes card cracks. This isn't a cracky card, but what you must do is where you've got your divot from where you scored, fold it that way. So I'm folding that there, and I'm just checking that it's nice and square before I ink it. I'm going to crease it in with my bone folder and then go along there and ink. That's fine. And then on to the next one. These two 1/2 inch ones, they form a spine. So I'll fold that one in and this one in, and just check always that you're square. We'll ink those up. And then it'll all become apparent what I'm saying to you. You'll be able to see magically crystally clear where all the score lines are. And then the next one, and the next one, and just ink those up. I'd probably take longer about inking this, but it's fine, it's adequate. I'm running out of ink at the bottom there, I think. Right, so then we move on to what is actually the inside, and you can see it's the inside now by the way this folds up. So let's ink around there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do with this, because there's so much you can do with it. I mean, I've produced it in quite a few guises already. You'll find lots of different colours that I've done this in for sale on my Etsy shop if you want. You know, the base is made and I've put paper all over it. Still left it for you to decorate, of course, but it's up to you. It's an option if that's what you want to do. So just go around it. There's quite a lot of it when you start inking it. I don't know about you, but inking isn't one of my favourite things in life. It's a necessary evil. So let's just fold that back and put some ink along there. And in here, but you don't have to be too about the inside, because I'll show the inside of the spines. I'll show you why in a sec. Right, this is the last bit, and then we're all inked up for that. There we go. Right, so this is the way it goes, like that. That folds in like that, and it all folds over. It's like magic. But on the inside spines, I'm just going to take some masking tape. Take whatever you think is suitable, just something to make the, you know, give the spine a bit of support for when it's being opened and closed. So just put that fairly equidistant over there. Doesn't really matter, you're going to be covering it anyway. And down this one as well. There we go. And just get your bone folder and burnish that down. Especially at the ends where it doesn't want to stick for some reason. There we go, and then we'll just trim those off nice and flush. And that just supports the hinges. Right, there we are. So they're to the inside, and we just need to stick a little bit of ink over them, just so they don't stand out as being different, that's all. Lovely. There we go. Right, so that's it done, ostensibly. The next thing that I'm going to do is show you the front flaps. They just need folding in again since I put the masking tape on. That's it, there we go. Lovely. That's that. Right, the front flaps are as follows. Take your full width, that's the remnant from cutting your 8 1/4 out, and then my biggest flap, I measure, one of these ends is a bit, yeah, it's that end there. It's about 6.5. The Timmy trimmer only measures up to 6. So I measure it at 6 and a bit more. So, you know, it's about 6.5. And trim that. The next one is 5 1/4. So trim that. Next one is 4. And trim that. And you just have that little remnant left. That's all you have. So the next thing to do is to score those, and you want to score them at 1/2 inch down the long side, the longest of the sides. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. Okay, that's that. Lovely. So we need to ink around these. Oh yes, I'm afraid we do. Oh, I'm just going to chop my corners off first. I quite like with these flip-flops just to cut the corners off. So there's my score line, so I want to cut these 2 corners off, the 2 furthest away from the score line. So it all just takes a little bit of time, but not much. It's a very quick folio. There we go. And let's ink around these. I'm sure some of these edges I don't need to ink. That one I've just inked. I don't think I need to, but it's just as quick when you're on a roll to keep going, isn't it, sometimes? Fold that over the way I taught you. And ink up there, then onto the inside. Fold that back on itself. Ink along there, then around. It is much easier to do this actually before you stick it on, I promise you. So you might find that you want to do this even although you're not making a video, but you might be making a video. Fold it over, ink along there, then onto this side, I don't know if you could hear that, but Bob's snoring his head off. He's obviously had a tiring morning. He's going to get his hair cut tomorrow. It's unbelievable how quickly time passes. We take him every 6 weeks, and it feels more like 2 this time. but I'm sure it's 6. And then when Mr. F comes back and tells me when the next appointment is, it'll sound ridiculous, because I bet you it's maybe September even, I don't know. Where is this year gone? Doesn't seem like 5 minutes since it was winter and we were looking for signs of spring, you know, looking for the snowdrops to come up and whatever. And, you know, obviously now the snowdrops have been and gone, the daffies have been and gone, and we're into full summer foliage. It's not full summer weather. Raining again today. Right, so there we have it. There's all our flip-flaps. And they are going to go on the front, which is this bit. So this is the way you fold it. Fold this bit in first, then fold that over on itself, and then this bit is the front. Okay, so this is where the flip-flaps go. So you literally fold them down like that, get yourself some glue. Don't cover this yet. Don't cover that page with your decorative paper yet. Don't put too much glue on, otherwise it just seeps out. Now if you want to, you can measure this. And I would generally measure everything, but I just do this by eye. Seems to work out not too bad. So I've got my crease underneath here, and the edge that we scored and folded under flush with the edge of with this edge here. So that's in there. And you might get some glue ooze out. It's very likely that you will. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be covering that up. Then you want to take the medium sized one, fold it over like that, fold the flap underneath like that, and that's going to stick on this side. So pop some glue on there. Not too much. I know I'll have put too much on. And if you've got a glue that's movable like I have, so much the better. So put that down and then just move it to where you think is halfway, which I think is probably about there. And then press that down. So it's flush with the outside, like that. Give it a good firm press down. Then I'm just going to take my towel and wipe up. Oh, it's still moving around. Let's just check. I think that's fine. There we go. Right. So now what we want to do, now we've got the two main flaps stuck on, is cover this. So don't cover that until you've got your two large and medium flap on. So I'm just going to use music paper. I particularly like music paper. Especially this, look at it, it's so vintagey, it's gorgeous. Come dance with me. How nice. I'm going to use this side. And I'm just going to mark off the width that I want with my pencil. I want to leave a little border, but not much of a border. So from there to there. And then the height that I want, leaving a little border, is from there to there. Okay, so I'm going to get my Timmy trimmer out. I hope it's going to work on this paper, because it's sometimes the Timmy trimmer doesn't like really thin paper, and this surely is. So just line that up. Oh, cut that beautifully. And then we'll line our marks that we made on the top. I think that's it, it's hard to see. So keep all your remnants, you never know when you might need those. And let's just check that that's going to fit in there. So place it in there and then fold your flaps in and make sure that it's not curling up. You're not pushing these in. No, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to attempt to ink this, but it is really so thin. Just looking for, yeah, I've got a piece of card here. I'll use that just behind it, just to try and ink it. Because it's so thin, you just wouldn't have a chance. Which makes the whole process rather more tedious, I'm sorry. You may opt not to ink yours, of course. That would save you loads of time. Right, that's good enough for me. So we're going to stick this in now. And I'm alright using, that's upside down, using collal. But if you're using a PVA glue, be careful, because the water content can make a delicate paper like this bubble. I would recommend that you use glue stick, you know, good quality glue stick, just to make sure that your page doesn't buckle. If you're using thin paper, if you're using ordinary scrapbooking paper, you'll be fine. Oh, Bobby. There we go. So get that where you want it. That is about fine. Lovely. Right. And just place that where you want it and rub off. I'm just rubbing off all the excess bits of glue. Collal is great for that. You can just rub off any bits that you don't want. So that's great. So what you would do then is cover the backs with whatever it is you want to cover them with. Coffee stained paper, music paper, anything like that. Ledger paper, anything. And that folds over. Let's just give that another press down. That folds over, and then you stick this one on. Okay, so stick this on before you cover this. It will all become apparent. So fold it over, same as we did for the other ones. And then this one wants to be exactly on top of the large flap and fairly central, which is probably about there. Yeah, about there I'd say. So press that down firmly. And now you can cover this. So when you cover this, you'll cover up that flap. Okay? So you'll then have your 3 flaps done and covered. So the takeaway from this is, make sure that you stick these two, the large and the medium, down before you cover the whole thing. Then the large one, make sure you stick the small one on top of it before you cover the large flap. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It's just, if you cover that and then you stick this on, you'll see this bit. And you know, it's not necessary, you don't need to see that bit if you put that down first and then cover it. Right, so the next thing is the waterfalls. So they go, in my journal, I've put them on this page. So there's the front there, that's the back of the front, and I put my waterfall here. There's no reason that you couldn't put it there. It would work just the same, perfectly well. So, you know, you can put it on either of these. I've just opted to put it there. So let's cut our waterfall pieces. And they want to be, as I said, 3.5. And then we're going to cut them at 4.5. So the 3.5 wide, then we cut them at 4.5, and you need 5 pieces if you're going to do one the same as mine. So that's 2. So I'm cutting these at 4.5. 3. 4, 5. So that's my 5 pieces of 4.5 by 3.5. There we go. And now you want to score these. So this is the 4.5 side. This is the 3.5 side. So you want to score them with the 3.5 side flush up to your left hand side. So this measures 4.5 across here, and score them at 1 inch. Score all of them at 1 inch, making sure you've got your 4.5 inch piece along the top. There is room, I think, in the folio to add one more waterfall piece if you wished. I quite like just the 5, but you could add more. It's your, you know, it's yours to interpret however you wish. And what I'm going to do now is just ink up round all of those, but I don't think you really need to see me do that. So I'll just pause you there whilst I ink quickly around there. Right, so I've inked around all my waterfall sections, and we ascertained that this is the front of the back of the front, even. Yeah, that's the front page, so that's the back of the front. And my waterfall's going on this page here. So it's going to go down the page from the top down there. And I just find it easier to turn it round. So I've got the top of the waterfall facing me. So this is now the top of the book up here. So you take your waterfall sections, fold them over just like we did with the flaps on the front, and glue this section here. Oh, I nearly forgot something critically important. Don't do that yet. We need to cover this first, because once we've got the waterfall on, you actually can't sort of get past it to put the paper on. So let's use this piece of paper. Let's mark where I want it, which is about there, I think. Oh, I nearly forgot that. That would have been awful, trying to tell you how to do it and forgetting the critical bit. That would have been no good at all. Mark the top there. I'll just chop this out. This is a very old music book, I tell you. It's dropping to pieces, but it's so vintagey. The pages are so gorgeous. Once again, keep all your remnants. You never know. You never know when you might need them. And it's, like I say, it's so beautifully aged, this paper. It deserves to be kept. So I'm just lining up my marks on my guillotine. And we've got the same performance, I'm afraid, with this, of inking it. So I'm just going to put something behind it. where's my ink? It doesn't take forever. It just feels like it when you're making a video. That's all. It's just I can imagine you all going, oh, no, not more inking. We're about there, just the top. It's the top to go. There we are. Right, we've inked around it fairly successfully. So that's the way it goes, like that. Let's put some glue on there, and we're cooking. I can't believe I nearly forgot that. My goodness. It's funny, you know, when you're junk journaling, you don't think that you're concentrating until you've actually got to speak and make sense at the same time whilst crafting. And I can tell you, I'm not saying I'm highly skilled, although I'm even any good at it, but it does take a while to get used to speaking and doing and not making mistakes like I nearly made. So that's glued on there. Let's get it where we think we want it, which is about there, I think. Yeah, that's lovely. Lovely, lovely. Just got that border all the way around, which is what I like. Right, so back to the waterfall. So as I said, I find it easier if I turn this round. So I've got the top now nearest me. Take your waterfall piece, fold the top part in like that, and then put glue just on the top folded piece. Not masses. And then you want to centralise this on the page. You could measure it, and I know in days gone by I would have measured it, but I'm not. I'm just trusting my eyes. And I think that looks about right, so I'm going to press that down. So then when that flips up, you've got this here and your waterfall like that. So then take your next one, same thing, fold it in, glue on that section there. Offer that up and press it up to the bottom of that last piece. And fold that down and make sure it's absolutely square, that it's not sticking out here or sticking out there, that it is absolutely square before you really push it down. Because sometimes you have to move, I don't mean much, not even a 1/16 or a millimetre probably sometimes, but just a fraction sometimes you have to move them. So same thing, fold that over, put your glue on that bit. Offer this one up, push it up, fold that down. Now that's just going that way the slightest little bit, and still a little more. Oops, it might be too much. That's perfect there now, straight down there and straight down there. So push that down firmly. Now we've got it where we want it, and it's not a perceptible thing. You can't see it. You know, at the top there's not a gap or anything like that. We're talking fractions. And again, For one moment there I thought I hadn't unpaused you. I thought I was talking to myself, which wouldn't be the first time that's happened. So I'm tacking that down, as it were, then I'm folding this. Perfect. So now I can push that down. And this is a test of your accuracy really in cutting, because if you haven't cut these out all the same width, they just won't lie nicely. And this is our last one because we've only got 5. As I say, you could do more. I'm sure you could fit more in. Let's take that bit of glue off there. And there we go. Let's see what that looks like. Looks like it wants to go that way. Just a touch. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's press that down. And check that there's no glue under this one, because there's not another one going to be coming up covering it. And there we have it. There's our waterfall. So I'm just going to go over these with a bone folder just so they all lie nice and flat. There we are. So let's turn this the right way around, see what we got. Yeah, that looks nice. Looks really nice. Lovely. So that's our 5-leaf waterfall. This is our front page with the flippy flappies on. We've done the folio, which all folds up like that, and that folds over like that, and there's your folio. So it's really not difficult, but there are steps that you have to do and get them in the right order. Otherwise, well, you see, you couldn't get that piece of paper in when you've got the folio, the waterfall down. It'd just be impossible, really. So, yeah, make sure that you do it in that way. Now, in my Etsy shop, I have got for sale the bare bones, which is just the card on its own, scored and ready to go. I've got the bare bones plus, which is the card all scored up, plus the waterfalls and the flaps. And then I've got decorated ones that it's the card, it's the waterfall, it's the flaps, but the whole card has been covered in decorative paper, and there's a choice of colours and decorations, etc. on there. So if you want to go and have a look at that, if you've watched this video and thought there's no way I can follow this silly woman, then you might want to consider buying one. But that really is up, it's up to you. It's not difficult, and I'm pretty sure you can do it. I really am. So yeah, that folds over, front folds in like that. There we have it. So excuse me, I'll be finishing this off at some stage with this gorgeous music paper, and I'll probably pop it in the shop at some stage. So thank you for watching. I hope I've made that very, very clear. That it's possible that there could be a part 2 to this, with how to put your hole in, etc, etc. So once I've got this covered, I might go on to make a part 2, but I think it's all fairly straightforward. So thanks for watching. Join me again soon if you can. Bye!